When you stayed, they didn't care. But the moment you finally leave, suddenly they panic, cry, make promises, play the victim. What's happening? Why does someone who once belittled you now fight like you're the most important thing in the world? The truth is, you've triggered the deepest fear in a narcissist: abandonment. But not in the way you might think. What enrages them isn't love lost, it's control shattered. You didn't just walk away, you rejected the mask they've been hiding behind. And that's unforgivable in their eyes. This is when they play their final move. They'll distort reality, run smear campaigns, recruit flying monkeys, and twist the narrative until you look like the villain. Why? Because to a narcissist, preserving their image is far more important than ever loving you. In today's video, we'll expose the psychological tactics behind the narcissist's desperate final stand and why your departure is proof you've already won. Stay with us till the end to learn how to protect yourself from the backlash, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more empowering insights into healing and freedom. When you walk away, the narcissist doesn't just lose a partner, they lose their center stage. In their world, you're not a person with autonomy, emotions, and boundaries. You're a mirror, one that reflects back the image they want to believe about themselves. Every sweet word, every affectionate gesture was never truly for you. It was for the survival of their carefully constructed mask. So when you reject them, when you see through that mask and say, "No, I don't believe you, I'm done," it doesn't just hurt their pride, it shatters their illusion. You're not just leaving, you're unmasking them. You're forcing them to confront a truth they can't tolerate. They no longer have control over you. And that moment, when you go silent, when you stop pleading, stop explaining, that's the moment they panic, because you've touched their core fear, abandonment. But beneath that fear of abandonment lies something even more terrifying to a narcissist: shame. Not healthy shame that leads to self-awareness and growth, but toxic shame, the kind that drives them to rewrite the narrative, to blame you, to cast you as the villain. Admitting fault would mean confronting their weakness. And instead of doing that, they create a new reality. I was betrayed, I was abandoned, I was the good one. That's why they fight the hardest after you leave, because you haven't just ended the relationship, you've dismantled the myth of who they pretend to be. And to defend that myth, they'll do anything: play the victim, threaten self-harm, guilt, trip you with nostalgia, manipulate your family, and unleash flying monkeys to psychologically attack you. And the cruel irony is this: the more they rage, the more they prove you were right to walk away. They're not fighting for love, they're fighting for power. So if you ever feel guilty for leaving, remember this: if it were truly love, they wouldn't have let it reach the point of no return. A person who loves you won't wait until you've walked away to finally act like they care. Narcissists don't miss you, they miss the control they just lost. The first role they play, the narcissist as the victim. When you finally find the courage to walk away, the narcissist's first move isn't remorse or reflection. No, it's survival. And their most practiced survival mechanism is this: playing the victim. The moment you leave, they begin rewriting the narrative, one where you're the villain, and they're the misunderstood, heartbroken soul who only ever tried their best. And a terrifying part? They believe it. This isn't just a lie they tell others. It's a lie they use to escape the crushing truth that they were the one who hurt you, pushed you, manipulated you until you had no choice but to leave. She left because she's too sensitive. I tried everything. She just wasn't satisfied. She walked away just when I was starting to change. These aren't confessions. They're mantras. Narcissists use them to protect their fragile ego from collapse. They can't accept that you left because they were unsafe, abusive, or toxic. Instead, they brand you selfish, unstable, or cruel, and if you stay silent, they'll use your silence as ammunition. She didn't speak up because she knew she was wrong. She disappeared like a coward. She's hiding because she's ashamed. The narcissist doesn't just tell this story to themselves. They tell it to your friends, your family, sometimes even your children. They start a subtle smear campaign, turning the people around you into unknowing spectators of a script they never asked to be part of. And when people start questioning you, you don't just feel the grief of the relationship ending, you feel the sting of being misunderstood, isolated and betrayed all over again. This isn't about love. This is about image, about control, about self-preservation. Because to the narcissist, admitting they were at fault means tearing down the mask they've built their whole identity on. So in a panic, they do what they do best, shift the blame. And this is where you must be more grounded than ever. They'll message you, post cryptic statuses, confide in your friends, cry to your family. Every gesture is a psychological weapon designed to poke at your conscience and make you wonder, was I too harsh? Did I really abandon them? And if you fall into that trap, they'll reel you back into the cycle of emotional abuse. Remember this: someone who truly loves you won't make you the villain just to protect their reputation. Only those afraid of the truth need to play the victim. When playing the victim isn't enough to pull you back, the narcissist doesn't stop. Instead, they escalate, shifting to a darker, more insidious tactic, unleashing the flying monkeys. Flying monkeys are people the narcissist manipulates into doing their dirty work, applying emotional pressure, spying on you, or smearing your name behind your back. These could be mutual friends, family members, co-workers, even casual acquaintances on social media. The dangerous part: many of them don't even realize they're being used. The narcissist spins the story. They cry, they play helpless, they tell everyone they've been abandoned, betrayed, blindsided. They feed others a deeply emotional version of events, laced with a subtle, manipulative plea: please help me make her see what she's done. And soon, you start getting messages like, why did you leave like that? He's really devastated. Can't you at least talk to him one last time? The whole family's hurting. Don't you think this is a bit much? These comments may not be malicious. Often, they're born from ignorance and good intentions. But, regardless of intent, the impact is the same. You start feeling guilty, confused, and questioning your own decision. All the while, the narcissist stays behind the curtain, playing the noble, wounded soul while pulling the strings of an entire cast of emotional messengers. And if you react, if you explain, respond, or lash out, they'll pounce. See, I told you she was unstable. She's still bitter because I moved on. That's why I couldn't keep living with her. None of this is accidental. It's a calculated strategy designed to isolate you, overwhelm you, and wrestle the narrative out of your hand. Because here's the truth: the narcissist cannot stand to be left in silence. That silence threatens their identity. It screams that they no longer exist in your mind. And if they can't control you anymore, they'll try to control how others see you. So what do? You don't react. You recognize the game. Look closely at the people reaching out. Do they truly know what you endured? Were they there when you were manipulated, gaslit, emotionally crushed? Or are they simply repeating a version of events told to them by someone desperate to maintain control? This is where your emotional immune system must be stronger than ever. Not everyone who says, "I'm worried about you," understands what you need. And not everyone who sounds empathetic is safe. The narcissist wants you to feel like the whole world is against you. But if you can stay calm, if you hold your silence, your clarity, and refuse to be dragged back into the old cycle, then you're doing more than just resisting control. You're dismantling the entire web of deception they've spent years spinning. When all their external manipulation tactics fail, when you don't respond to messages, don't fall for guilt trips, don't cave to the flying monkeys, the narcissist returns to their final weapon, the most dangerous one of all: your memories of love. This is a real love. It's the memory you once called love, and they know exactly how to use it. They'll come back with all the sweet words you once longed to hear, words they rarely, if ever, said during the relationship. but now they flood you with them like a tidal wave. I've never loved anyone the way I love you. We had such a beautiful life together, didn't we? If you come back, I promise I'll change for good. They know you're someone who loves deeply. They know you once dreamed of a future with them in it. And now they're using that very dream as a weapon to pull you back in. They'll take you on a guided tour of your shared past. The first date, the first kiss, the night spent laughing in the kitchen. They're not apologizing. They're reigniting emotion to regain control. And the most painful part is this. Part of you still remembers those moments as if they were real. That's the weak spot they're targeting, not because they want to love you, but because they want to win. Love, in the hands of a narcissist, becomes a weapon. They no longer attack you with rage. They attack with nostalgia, vulnerability, and what-ifs. And if you let your soft heart guide you, they'll pull you back in, not to love you, but to punish you for ever leaving. They'll pretend they've changed, they'll start therapy, go to church, appear reflective, but they're not healing. They're building a new, upgraded version of the old mask. Shinier, smarter, more dangerous. And if you go back, the cycle restarts. This time, more subtle, more painful, because now you know, and you still walked into it. That's why clarity is the highest form of self-love. Not every love is worth saving, not every memory is worth clinging to. And not everyone deserves your heart just because they once made it flutter. They don't miss you. They miss the version of you who believed blindly, who forgave endlessly, who stayed even after bleeding internally. They don't come back to love you. They come back to prove they can still get you to open the door. Don't let the love that once was become the lock that keeps you in chains. You might think that once you walk away the door is closed, that it's over, that you're finally free, but to the narcissist, goodbyes never end with a simple farewell. They end with a quiet, obsessive surveillance. They may stop texting, stop calling, stop publicly chasing after you, but that doesn't mean they've let go. In fact, once the narcissist realizes you're not coming back, they pull into the shadows, but their eyes never leave you. You start noticing strange signs. They accidentally react to an old story. A mutual friend casually mentions they heard something about your new life. A random account views every post you make, but never interacts. Don't be fooled. This isn't coincidence. It's silent strategy. They can't control you directly anymore, so they try to control you by watching, by monitoring, by making sure they're still somewhere in your emotional orbit. Narcissists are obsessed with knowing you're okay, not because they care, but because they need to know if you're thriving without them. They crave that knowledge, not to be happy for you, but to compare, to calculate, and to look for cracks they can exploit. Watching you gives them two things: the illusion that they still influence your life, tactical advantage in case they decide to reappear when you're vulnerable. This is why narcissists hate seeing you silent but successful. They can't handle it when you no longer need them. They're not used to being left without closure, without drama. So they start scrolling through your Facebook, reading your captions, dissecting your Instagram stories, desperate to find a sliver of emotion they can crawl back into. They'll look for signs like, have you moved on with someone new? Are you still heartbroken? Are you posting about them? Are you throwing subtle shade? And if they sense you've truly moved forward, that realization hits harder than any breakup. Because to the narcissist, it doesn't just mean losing you, it means losing the identity of being central in your world. And that, to them, is worse than heartbreak. But here's where your true power emerges. The power of indifference. You don't need to fight back. You don't need to explain or prove you're stronger. The fact that you no longer react, no longer care, no longer tremble at their presence, that alone is a victory they cannot stand. If you've ever caught a glance in public, noticed a familiar anonymous profile watching your stories, or received a message from someone you thought was long gone, remember, they're still watching you live. but they no longer live inside you. And that, right there, is their final defeat. No longer being part of your story, not even as a background character. When the narcissist threatens self-harm, the final dangerous move to regain control, there's a chilling stage not often talked about, but many survivors know it well. The narcissist may threaten to harm themselves if you don't come back. Not because they truly want to die, but because they know it's the one tactic that still works. One that triggers your fear, your guilt, your deep-rooted empathy. This isn't just manipulation anymore, this is weaponizing compassion. They'll message you late at night with lines like, "Without you, I have no reason to live. You're the only one keeping me going. If you leave, for real, this time, I might disappear forever." And when you receive these words, your heart seizes. Of course it does. You're not heartless. You loved this person. You wanted to believe in their potential, and now you feel trapped. As if your decision to leave might literally destroy someone. That's exactly what they want you to feel. They want to shift the burden of their well-being onto your shoulders. They want you to feel like the guardian of their life, responsible for their survival, their safety, their sanity. They craft a narrative where you are to blame for their pain, rather than face the consequences of the pain they caused you. And if you return out of fear, it's not love that brings you back, it's emotional hostage-taking. This is an incredibly cruel trap, especially for those with kind hearts. But you need to understand this truth. You are not responsible for someone else's behavior. If they are truly in psychological crisis, they need a licensed professional, not the ex they emotionally destroyed. And if they repeatedly threaten but never act, only to use it again and again, this isn't genuine despair, it's calculated emotional blackmail. Many survivors have admitted they went back not out of love, but because they were terrified of what might happen if they didn't. But once they returned, everything went back to the same, or worse. And months later, the same threats returned again and again. Please remember this. You can care without returning. You can feel empathy without sacrificing yourself. You can pray for them without re-entering the prison. Someone's life is not yours to carry, especially not the life of someone who's already crushed your spirit. And if they truly need help, you can encourage them to reach out to mental health professionals. You can alert trusted people in their life, but you must never let yourself become an emotional hostage to someone who once harmed you. You are not selfish for walking away. You are courageous for protecting your heart and refusing to let it be weaponized one more time. Your silence and indifference, the final blow that shatters the narcissist's illusion. It's not the yelling, not the arguments, not the long speeches explaining how deeply they hurt you. What truly breaks a narcissist is your complete silence. No reaction, no rage, no pleas, just nothing. For a narcissist, their very existence is fueled by being noticed, being reacted to, being the center of someone's emotional world. As long as you argue, they still have power. As long as you explain, they still occupy space in your mind. As long as you hurt, they still hold control over something inside you. But when you go silent, when you become indifferent, when you walk away without turning back, they become nothing. Silence is a language the narcissist cannot understand. It provides no emotional fuel, no chaos to manipulate, no presence to cling to. It's like they're screaming into an empty room. No one answers, no one watches, no one needs them anymore. Indifference is more brutal than anger. Because anger is a sign that something still matters. But indifference? That's the announcement of an ending. You don't react. You don't care what they say, what they do, how they live. They may rage, they may beg, they may launch a desperate final move. But you remain calm like still water. And in that moment they realize you didn't just leave physically, you left emotionally. And here's the truth they can't face. All the power, if they ever had, all the tactics they used to control you, only worked because you once cared. Now you don't. You've reclaimed your voice, your boundaries, your peace, and that leaves them with nothing. Silence isn't weakness. Silence is strength that's matured, a choice to value peace over battle. And the narcissist knows they have no weapon against that. You've already won, just not in a way the narcissist will ever understand. When every tactic has failed, the blame shifting, the victim act, the smears, the emotional attacks, the silent stalking, even the threats of self-harm, you are still standing, quietly, without hatred, without needing an apology, without begging for validation. You only needed one thing, to no longer belong to them. That's the kind of victory the narcissist will never comprehend. They believe victory is making you stay, making you rage, making you hurt. But true victory is this, when you no longer need them to feel whole. You don't have to shout to be heard. You don't have to cry to be seen. All you need is a steady step, a peaceful heart, and a life no longer defined by them. You saw the truth, you didn't look back. You ended it, not through revenge, but through awakening. And that is what they'll never forgive you for, not because you hurt them, but because you shattered the illusion that they could never be left. So if you're walking the path of healing right now, know this: you're not alone. Millions are reclaiming themselves after wounds no one else could see. And you, yes you, may be the light someone else needs to find their way out. If this video spoke to you, hit that subscribe button now. There's more deep, honest, and empowering content on the way. We heal together, we grow together, and we move forward, no longer carrying pain that was never ours to begin with. You've survived. Now it's time for you to live. Truly live. A life no one else gets to control.